Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. It is Grey Cup week, and smash that subscribe button. This has been like the most fun week we've had online and on podcast, bro.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
It's insane. So help us out, get the word out, help us continue to grow the channel. Smash that subscribe button. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're also on Reddit and Discord. And leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Yeah, that still works. We got CFL talk. We got Bomber talk. We got Winnipeg Blue Bomber talk. We got Winnipeg defense talk. We got everything Blue Bombers going into the Grey Cup because it's just that kind of day. So let's start off with the coach's media call. Did anything stick out to you with O'Shea and Moss?
Not too much. To me, it seemed like Moss was there for the first time because he was very talkative and explaining a lot more stuff than, say, O'Shea was. And O'Shea was just straight to the point and, hey, let's get on with this kind of thing. So it's funny kind of watching the two. And I don't blame Moss because it's his first one there, right? Yeah. I can't remember O'Shea when he did his the first time, a few years ago, how he was. But it was funny kind of watching that difference in the two of them. But very complimentary of each other, both kind of laid back. And both very comfortable speaking their thoughts up there.
Yeah, there's definitely a mutual respect, of course, with them being on the same coaching staff with Scott Milinovich as the head coach. Both coaches didn't give up anything. I know O'Shea was asked about Kyle Walters, and he's like, you know what, this is time to talk about football. But at the same time, they didn't really talk about the details of football.
But I really just basing it on that. Like that was a 3 Down Nation question. It's like, dude, ask about the game. Promote the game, promote the Grey Cup. This can be talked about. The GM thing could have been talked about throughout the year or at any other time. And I love the way that O'Shea just kind of blew it off. And he almost kind of said, hey, dude, man, we got a game coming up on Sunday. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about some of the players even. Do that. This was not needed. Even the next question was again by 3 Down Nation, and it was to Moss about not having an opportunity to hire his own staff or whatever it was. It's like, you guys get one question? This is what you're throwing out there?
Looking for clicks.
I couldn't understand that question at all. Like, I don't like it.
Even the question, well, I get the question, but the way it was phrased about O'Shea's greatness was just kind of weird. Like you want to put the guy on the spot and just, hey, do you think you're like on the same caliber of Buono, Matthews, and Hugh Campbell? It's like, of course he's not going to say he is. I'll say it. Yeah, for sure he's of that caliber almost, especially if he gets that next cup. He's going to be statue worthy like Cal Murphy and oh my gosh, Bud Grant.
That's the thing. What does he need? Like 6 wins to tie Bud Grant next year, right? Mm-hmm. For most wins in Bomber history. So yeah, I get it. That question, like you say, that's a question for us or media or anyone else to answer. It's not for O'Shea to answer. He's never going to say, yeah, I'm a legend. What did you expect? Like Moss said later on, yeah, you're a legend kind of thing, or you're a great, whatever he said, right? But that's what that is. It's not for the guy to say. I'm never going to come out and say, yeah, I'm a legend. Like who does that?
Of course not. Of course not. Man, we're coming up with a decade coming with Coach O'Shea. It's been an amazing ride. He's the only head coach around in this league from 2014.
Yeah, and he's not stopping anytime too soon. Signed a contract, right? So
yeah, Rick Campbell actually is around, but he's not with Ottawa.
Yeah, he switched, right? So
yeah. So yeah, and like you mentioned, there was that mutual respect between the two, which is great to see, and obviously expected.
Gotta love when Jason Moss's chairs start to fall apart.
Yeah, the arms and everything. What's up? It's so CFLA. It's like really. Yeah.
It's like there's always going to be something with the CFL, right? I'm surprised he didn't get up. Like I would have got off that chair.
It's like a chair from last year. They just put the new logo on it.
Put it back on.
Anything else you clock from that media conference with the coaches?
No, I love Moss's answer too about what the CFL could do to grow and stuff. And they were both, again, very complimentary of the league and all that. But he did say the schedule, right? Which the league is going back to that balanced kind of schedule as best as they can. So yeah, I love that he kind of threw that out there, and it shows the coaches also think about that kind of stuff as well and would like to have a better schedule. And he admitted it's tough sometimes, but something for the CFL to work at.
Yeah. I was talking to our friends at the Elks Herd yesterday on the Elks call, And they reminded me of how immature Jason Moss was on the field as head coach on Edmonton. Like he'd go through headsets and whatever throwing stuff. And he's definitely matured as a head coach. And you can see that not just in the Montreal game, where at the end of the game where they had, or where they're in trouble with the Hamilton game with the penalties, and he didn't lose his mind too badly. But you've definitely seen him mature.
Yeah.
And with him also talking about, me talking with the Elks fans, it was a reminder that Jason Moss and Danny Machocha had a real deep relationship. And I know you weren't appreciative of the question about keeping the staff, but what was important coming out of that is that he held on to the staff that he didn't have to hold on to. And that breeds a lot of loyalty.
Yeah.
Like imagine being a coach and being like, oh, my job is screwed. Like Anthony Cal, he didn't have to keep Anthony Calvillo. I don't know why he did. I'll go into that later. But at the same time, it's like, this dude kept me around. He didn't have to. I'm gonna do my best for him.
Yeah.
And I was hard on Machocha when he let go of Kahari. I was pissed.
Oh yeah.
Props, man. He had a plan and it's looking good right now.
Yeah, I don't hate the question. I hate the timing of that question. Like in this press conference, I want to hear about the game or the season or stuff. I don't want to hear about the outside stuff or stuff that happened in the past or stuff that, is out of kind of O'Shea's control with the GM stuff, right? So I'm just disappointed in these guys that you have an opportunity to ask a great question or anything like that, and that's what you came up with.
I was just glad no one asked about if their players were having sex.
See, I would have rather that question from one of those guys.
I hate that question. That's so stupid. Like the coaching won't tell them what to do, and like they have control in the end. Yeah. Give me a break. Anything else from the coaches' media time you want to talk about?
No, nothing at all. I mean, like you say, nothing came out of it really, bulletin board material or anything like that. So
let's move on to the commissioner's media time. Man, I know I've been giving this guy a hard time. He talked about so many things and all the talking points that he usually talks about at the beginning of the year. Of course, expansion. Like, I don't know what the plan of expansion is. Are they holding off to look at other sites until all of the Halifax Atlantic sites have been exhausted? Or are they doing it at the same time? Because I think they should be doing it at the same time. And to be honest with you, I think they should be looking at American interest because they need to expand. They need to grow the game. And there's only so many Canadian cities you can go to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, well, what do they say? They've been in conversation with a highly engaged, highly qualified potential owner in Atlantic Canada. It's like, dude, how long are you going to go with this for?
Yeah.
This is what you said at the beginning of the year. Like you said, you were kind of close to something and nothing came to fruition of that. And like you say, maybe it's time to move on. Either you check Quebec City, see if there's an opportunity there, or you check close to the southern states that are like they're just south of the border kind of thing. So it keeps the league close. You're not going too far down south or anything like that. But yeah, it's time to find that 10th team or move on from the Maritimes at this point.
Any flags for you with the commissioner?
Just the stats thing again. It never got done. So that to me is a big fail. That was a fail at the beginning of the year, and it ended up being an even bigger fail that they never got it done at all. Yeah. This to me better be an amazing stat system next year. Hopefully it's out by then, or that's going to be another strike against him. Because what got accomplished this year by him? I know the attendance is up, the TV viewership is up, but is that really him? So I'd like to see more out of him. And if the stats thing can't get done, maybe it's time to kind of look at somebody else to take over.
Do the stats. He already says he ain't going nowhere. He's not going to hand over that baton. Oh, that stats thing. What an embarrassment. It's like people who gamble, people who do journalism, fans who are just passionate about the game and want to know what's going on. It was a joke. I
was trying to find stats to even talk about here, and I'm looking through a PDF going, what? I don't even know what I'm looking at or what it was. I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I'm like, forget it.
Can't even search for what I want.
You can't. It's terrible.
You talked about attendance, and yes, attendance is up, specifically in the markets of Toronto and BC, but it feels very different. It feels like there's a long-term growth plan in BC, and in Toronto, it's kind of hot and cold. If the team's not good, the attendance is not going to be there, and that's not how you build it. So I'm still very concerned with Maple Leaf Sports and Toronto, and if there is a long-term plan on growing this team, because it doesn't seem like it.
No, and I mean, next year will be very telling, right? They had a very good year. Obviously, it didn't work out for them in the end here, but if that season ticket number doesn't go up by next year, then chances are the attendance is going to probably either stay the same or lower a bit even, right? Especially if they get off to a bad start. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It was a good year for them. They cleaned up on awards tonight too. So
redemption, eh? Some kind of redemption. And of course, Montreal, they got their new owner this year. And that's another thing they talked about with Jason Moss is like, what kind of situation did you come into when you didn't have an owner, when players just wanted to leave, which is actually pretty amazing that they're in the Grey Cup after all of that. But it's good that they found a good, solid owner in Montreal. I'll give them props for that.
Yeah, that is good. And like you say, you had Eugene Lewis leave. What was the other receiver that left? Wanky, yeah. So, and then you had other guys like Austin Mack came in or whatever, stuff like that, but they weren't well known, right? And we didn't expect a lot of these guys. So, yeah, they stepped in well. You know, they put all that stuff behind them once they got the owner, and they just looked ahead.
You think Edmonton should go for private ownership?
Yeah, if it'll help them, why not? I mean, it'll make things better. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't think that's an option that the Bombers should close their ears or eyes to either. If it's profitable for the team, it's best for the team's future. That's what you need to do. Like the Bombers are doing great right now. Don't get me wrong, but long-term future, who knows? That might be a situation you have to go into. Just like Saskatchewan, they might have to look into that as well.
The one thing about that is, I guess, can you go back if you had to community ownership, right? Because sometimes these owners don't stick around very long after a fact, right? Unless you get someone from Winnipeg owning this team, right? But if you get someone from somewhere else owning it, if you start losing and fans start showing up, then they might be easier to bail. So
yeah, they almost sold to Asper. Well, that was a talk.
But he's from Winnipeg and he loves the team. So, you know, would have been a different story there, right?
And he has lots of money.
Yeah. Well, do they? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other red flags or not red flags? Any other things that caught your attention with the commissioner's media? We're going to get to the Bomber Grey Cup preview soon.
Nah, nothing else really. I just like the ops cap that you said that's not going to change and all that stuff. That's kind of disappointing. They need to kind of look at that and maybe fix that up and make it a little bit better so teams can move on from a coach or hire a new coach or new GM or whatever they need to do, you know, and have some money for it. So maybe find a better way of handling that cap too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just get rid of it. A couple more things that got my attention. The viewership is up, which is good. What was encouraging and surprising is that it's 34% increase in the demographic 25 to 54. That's an amazing number. To have people watching the game at that age at such an increase is great. And also Saturday playoff games. They've committed to those. Semifinal and final, not the Grey Cup. I know you brought up the Grey Cup. Maybe they should. You think they should Saturday?
I just like it so that you have the next day kind of thing. But I do agree. I love Sundays because it's always been Sunday. So, like I said, make Monday a national holiday. Then give it all. You know, make it a stat. So
Saturday would create a heck of a scheduling issue.
But
not only with U Sports, but in regards to everything being pushed back.
Right. Yeah.
If the visiting team like Montreal wins, they have to go back home and then travel the next day to get to the great. It'd be causing a lot of heck. So
I do agree with that. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the Grey Cup preview, kind of what we're here to do. Sorry, we kept you waiting. Taking in the week, what kind of vibes are you getting from both teams?
You know what? Winnipeg seems, well, they both seem kind of business-like, but Winnipeg's more business-like. They've been here before. They kind of know the ropes. They know, you know, what to do, what not to do. Montreal, though, has that swagger going, man. You know, they've won a bunch of games in a row. They beat the best team in the league, you know, and looking good in doing so. So one thing about Montreal is they're new to this. They got a lot of new players that have never been here. I know they got guys like Lemon and Sewell, and, you know, coaches Moss and Cavill have been to Grey Cups and won Grey Cups, but they got a lot of newer guys. So they're all taking it all in. But to me, the vibe looks both good on both sides, really. Yeah. You know, they're both here business-like. They both believe they can win this game. And, you know, Montreal's confidence is riding pretty high right now. And so is the Bombers.
Absolutely. Two quick vibe differences. The Bombers do look like they're here to work. The Owls look very relaxed. I don't know which one to read into. I honestly don't, because, you know, the Bombers have been there before, like you mentioned, for the past 4 years, and they have that hashtag that I won't mention because I don't like it. It reminds me of a hashtag they had in 2002, or not hashtag back then, a slogan. Yeah. But, you know, they are focused and they're ready to work, and hopefully they're ready to go 1-0. But there's something about the relaxedness of Montreal that concerns me.
They got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
Really, they weren't supposed to be here. I mean, we wrote them off even before the season started. We wrote them off halfway through, like everyone did, not just us. But they weren't supposed to be here, so they got it. They got not, if they lose, they lose. They'll be like, well, we weren't supposed to be there anyways, kind of thing. I know they're not, they're not going to take that easily, but this is all on the Bombers. And again, it was like that last year against Toronto, and maybe Winnipeg relaxed too much against Toronto last year going into that game. So now I can see them being more laser focused going into this one. But yeah, for Montreal, this is almost easier for them, because if they lose, they lose. We expect it, right? Most people are going to probably pick the Bombers. So
true. What are the matchups that we are looking forward to watching? Well, number one for me is at safety, Duquay against Zach Collaros. They will be reading each other's eyes all game long. Like, it might get a little weird and uncomfortable, the amount of gazing of the eyes between these dudes that's going to be happening in that matchup. But that's going to be a good one right there. The Canadian safety against Zach Collaros.
Yeah, and he's got him a couple of times, right? One for pick six, right? And at least 2 interceptions, does he not?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and again, he had a big one against Chad Kelly there in that Eastern final last weekend too, which kind of maybe changed the game, because Toronto were close to scoring in that game, right? So
it opened the floodgates.
Yeah, he's got to be aware of where he is, because even on that Toronto play, Chad Kelly probably didn't see him in the interception against Claros even this year. Like, he just almost snuck out of nowhere, and you're like, holy crap, how did he not see him? But yeah,
he saw him. That was just a bad throw. Yeah. Throw it in front of the guy. Why are you throwing it behind him?
Well, are we talking about Chad Kelly here? That one?
Yeah.
He got rushed by that one guy. And same with Claros. He had his guy open too. And Duquay just came out of nowhere.
What matchup you got?
Again, going back to it, the trenches, right? That Montreal front seven against this Bomber O-line, just like last week against BC. Can they give enough time to Claros? Can they open holes? The O-line did a great job against that pass rush last week against BC. So I kind of expect the same today, or next on Sunday. I know they'll win and lose battles here and there, but to me, that'll be huge in this game, especially if Montreal can somehow take the run game of the Bombers or slow that run game down. So that'll be a big matchup to me.
Yeah, the matchup I have after that will actually benefit, or whatever. The results of that will depend on what goes on in the trenches, is Brady Oliveira against Darnell Sankey. Yeah. Will this run game be affected? Because he is the run stopper. The Bombers will have to have receiver help blocking with Bailey and Dempsey to get in there in the slots to help at the second level, because Darnell Sankey is crazy. That dude is a talent. He plugs holes, and we hit someone, they don't usually go anywhere.
No, that whole front seven, you look at those guys there, and it's like, ooh, like, it's not just Sankey and Lemon, right? They got Mondo COL, who's won a Grey Cup before. Loe Ugwak, the rookie from this year. Did I say that right? I don't know, but he's come on late in this season too, right? And then Tyrese Beverett, linebacker. Like, they got some good guys in that front seven, and some decent DBs too. So, and Duquay is one of them. But yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be a tough D to crack.
Heck yeah. What other matchups you got?
Again, going to the other side, Montreal's O-line has been pretty terrible this year, right? What did they give up? 61 sacks. Bombers have 53 sacks. They've sacked Fajardo 7 times so far this season. So if they can protect Fajardo enough for him to get that ball out, maybe even get Montreal some kind of run game, that'll definitely help them, even if it's Fajardo running, right? Maybe they got to do a quick passing Montreal, but they got to do enough Montreal's offense to not lose this game. And that O-line is going to be the biggest factor in if they can do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it in the trenches. I'm going to go Mustafa Johnson against the interior line of the Bombers, specifically Kolinkowski and Neufeld. Mustafa Johnson, he's that dude. He's the one that's most likely to go toe-to-toe with Pat Neufeld, who's a CFL All-Star. And that, that's not taking away from anything with Johnson. I think he's an Eastern All-Star. So if Noel Thorpe was smart, he'd have him on both sides of Kolinkowski, giving them trouble with Sewell as well. And Noel Thorpe, that's another matchup. Yeah. Like, that guy can plan and scheme blitzes. Like, well, he learned from Chris Jones in Montreal. That's who the DC that he learned from. So that interior line and Mustafa Johnson, that's going to be a battle all day long.
Well, and Thorpe he's confused Collaros already this year. He confused the heck out of Kelly last week. So he will be a big factor as well. So that is another matchup that I'm looking forward to see Noel Thorpe against Buck Pierce. And Noel Thorpe has been around a bit longer than than Pierce. So he's got a little bit more experience in doing this. So it'll be interesting to see. Speaking of that run game or that run stop for Montreal, they've given up 5. They gave up last week 5.1 yards, and I think on the season 5.7 yards per rush. So they haven't been good on defense there. So that's where the Bombers, the Bombers will need to take advantage of that. Even Chad Kelly had success. OJ Ouellette had a decent game, just not enough opportunities. So Winnipeg needs to take advantage of that, and maybe that'll help push back that pass rush a bit. But if Montreal can stop that or slow that down, kind of like BC did in that second half, that'll give them a great opportunity in this game.
Yeah. What other matchups you got?
Bombers special teams, their kick coverage against James Lecter Jr., who took one back last week. He's been okay, not great this season in a return game, but we've seen the Bombers struggle to stop decent returners or good returners. So that'll be an interesting matchup for me. Because this game is going to be all about field position, right? I know that's basic, but it's going to be a lot, especially on Montreal's end. If they can cause turnovers or get good returns, that's how they're going to score. I can't see Fajardo taking his Montreal offense, 80 yards down the field to score.
No,
I don't think that'll happen. So if Lecter can give him, is it Lecter? Am I saying that right?
Lecter.
If he can give them good field position, hey, then it gets him, 20 yards and maybe gets them in field goal range kind of thing, right? So that'll be a big matchup for the Bombers as well.
Where's Chandler Worthy? What happened to that guy? Is he hurt?
Did he end up getting hurt?
Because if he's not hurt, then you got to worry about that guy on punt as well. I haven't seen his name on the roster, but who knows?
No, yeah. I was looking at their depth chart earlier today, and I don't remember seeing it on there actually.
No, not at all. Matchup also I'm looking for is that Tyrese Beverett against Jeff Gray and Hardrick on the inside. Now, he's going to be an issue. He led Montreal in tackles, and he also had 7 sacks. Also because Noel Thorpe is going to send him from every direction and at multiple times. So, man, Beverett against Gray and Hardrick is going to be a good matchup.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a battle, man. It's going to be fun to watch. Whoever's winning, that's winning this game, man.
What are the matchups you got?
I'm going to go on the other side of the special teams and go Jadarian Grant. After coming back from injury, hasn't done a heck of a lot. So he's going to also need to be a big factor in this game, switching that field position around for the Bombers as well. Because if the Bombers are starting at their 10, 20, and not, having a punt deep in their own end, it's going to be a tough game for them as well and give Montreal better opportunities. So I'm hoping and I'm expecting Jadarian Grant to have a good game here against this Montreal kick coverage team, who did a fairly good job against Leak last week. So it'll be a tough matchup for Jadarian Grant there.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a while since he's returned from his matchup for him to have a breakout game. This will be a beautiful game to have a breakout game.
Yes. Yeah.
Another matchup I'm looking forward to is Wesley Sutton against Dembski and Bailey on the inside. And I'm sure they're going to send Lawler his way as well. And you're going to have to watch Sutton because they'll send him on the blitz. He has like 3 or 4 sacks this year. Again, Noel Thorpe. So that's going to be a good one. The DB against Dembski and Bailey.
Yeah, you don't know what you're getting with this Thorpe D. Like I was looking at the interceptions, reading an article on 3 Down Nation about the interceptions that Kelly threw, and each one was different. And every time Kelly thought something was happening, something else happened instead, kind of thing, right? And he threw to obviously the wrong spot. So yeah, Noel Thorpe is going to be huge in this game. And the Bombers kind of solved him in the second game as the offense put up some good points in that one. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, that was more of a case of Montreal's defense being on the field way too long, and they just got tired. And you can't stop the Bombers when you're tired, especially against the run.
Well, that's the thing. Clarles didn't have great games against them. Like probably 177 and then 240. It was mostly Oliveira, and then the turnovers that they caused on Fajardo. So
Austin Mack and Mario Houston should also be a good matchup.
Yeah.
Last time I think Mac went 5 for 50 or 5 for 50 plus. So that's a good game on Demario Houston's end.
Yeah, and that deep ball, that's what they're gonna have to watch. If somehow Fajardo gets enough time to look downfield, they'll look for that at least a couple times this game because they hit it in the first game, right? But that was Julian Grant was also still in that game. So it's gonna be fun.
Any other matchups you're looking forward to watching?
No, just the whole game, just the whole matchup, all of it to see what happens. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. So it's going to be, Richie Hall's defense trying to stop that Montreal's offense, which I think will be easier for him. Should be easier anyways.
Yes.
Should be. Whereas Noel Thorpe will have a harder time stopping the Winnipeg defense or offense, but it'll be interesting to see what he throws at them. And if he can confuse Clarles, and if he can't confuse Clarles, it's going to be a rough day for them.
I'm also looking forward to this matchup between Nick Callender and Jackson Jeffcoat on the ends. Nick Callender is amazing left tackle, American left tackle for Montreal, and we know Jackson Jeffcoat very well, and he seems to be hitting his stride at the perfect time. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. And we've already talked about Richie Hall and Anthony Calvillo. I think Anthony Calvillo is a little overmatched here. Yeah. He hasn't really showed what he can do in this league. Not saying that he's had the best talent around him, but his play calling is a little bland and suspect all year long. So I can't see their offense getting anything going here.
No, like I said, it's going to be, they're going to need turnovers from this Montreal D to have an opportunity.
What do the Bombers have to do to win the game?
Speaking of turnovers, just protect the ball. Ultimately, Winnipeg has the better team here, at least better offense for sure, right? So Montreal's offense is going to struggle to score in this game, I believe, unless they get short field position and any turnovers like they did last week against Toronto. So for me, the biggest thing, Winnipeg needs to protect the ball and not make too many mistakes.
Yeah, I guess that's part of protecting the ball. My number one thing is they have to lean on the running game and get that going early, just like they did last week. BC is also a fast, aggressive defense. And how do you mess them up? You punch them in the face over and over and over again, like Marshawn Lynch says, because they won't want it after a while. Lean on that heavy set like they did last week, like that first drive. Do it again.
Yeah.
Take their heart. Like I said, they would a couple weeks ago, and BC couldn't take it. So, you punch them in the face continuously. That's what I think they should do, and I think that'll get them the win.
Yeah, Oliveira was over 100 yards both games against these guys, so
yeah,
it's going to be a big factor for sure. And that's, sorry, go ahead.
You know what they say about defensive players? They play defense because they don't want to get hit. They want to hit. So when you start hitting defensive players in the face, it's like a bully, man. They don't like that.
Speaking of that, did you watch in the Niner game? Trent Williams was running down the field for blocking, and the number 31, I can't remember his name, from Jacksonville, just kind of turned away and ran away.
No. He didn't run away. The guy was trying to do it. No, he wasn't. He was trying to do a Ben Roethlisberger. He was trying to turn over Trent Williams to get him on the other side, but Trent Williams is too big. He wasn't running away. He turned to switch side.
He did it twice in that game. Trent Williams even said he ran away.
He didn't run away. He's trying to turn around. Away. That's a joke.
He ran away.
No, watch it.
I did watch it. Trent Williams watched it too. Well, then you're calling Trent Williams wrong too.
Yeah, he is wrong because the guy tried to do it twice. He tried to turn over his other shoulder to get around Trent Williams because he knew Trent Williams had the outside on him. I think that was a joke.
He was running.
He didn't run away.
He was running.
Sorry. You're wrong. You can repeat it, but you're wrong.
You're wrong.
What do the Owls have to do to get the upset?
Confused Collaros. That D obviously has got to be good. We talked about it. Northorpe confused Kelly. He confused Collaros earlier this year. So they'll have to cause turnovers on that D. Stop the run game, or at least slow down Oliveira.
Yes.
And make maybe the Collaros pass a little bit more, because then that's maybe where the turnovers happen, right? So again, for me, this game hinges on Montreal's D being able to stop that offense. And if they can do a good job and keep this game close, Montreal could take it or steal it.
Yeah, I think they have to put 8 in the box. They have to stop the run. The Bombers can be efficient with the long ball, but in the past few games, they haven't really been efficient at the short and intermediate passing game. So, Montreal, they're going to send that blitz. Not they should. They're going to send that blitz, and they're going to force Collaros to make decisions on the short and intermediate routes that he hasn't been very good at in the past few weeks. They won't let him get his feet set. So that's what they have to do. They're second in the league in regards to opponents' completion percentage, just behind the Bombers. So they won't leave many windows for Collaros to take advantage of. And to be honest with you, Zach Collaros is not very good in the Grey Cup as the Bombers starter. He's 67% passer, 198 a game, 2 touchdowns to 3 interceptions.
Yeah, that's not good numbers.
No. So if they can get in his face and rattle him, if we go by what Zach Collaros has done in the Grey Cup, that might be an issue.
And going into other Grey Cups, he was actually having a better season. I know he put up a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns this year, but he also threw a lot of interceptions and turned over the ball a lot more too in this season. So yeah, and you got guys, you're possibly missing Dalton Schoen. We don't know for sure if he's playing or not. Dembski does not seem 100%. He hasn't been practicing at all. We don't know where Bailey is in this all. So now you got more pressure on Lawler and Wolodarski to make plays in this game. And, so they're going to rely on them. If Montreal is going to play Lawler, who seems to be one of two healthy wide receivers in this game. That might, slow things down in that area as well. So Montreal caused turnovers to this Bombers. D will give them a chance to win this game.
I think like everyone else, Fajardo is low on the priority talk about list.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. He hasn't been very good in the playoffs, and he also hasn't been very good against the Bombers.
No.
In 12 games against the Bombers, he is a 66% passer rate, passing percentage. Not bad. He averages about 245 a game. Still not bad. He has 3 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. That is not good. Not only can he not score, but he's giving the ball away. And I don't think it's necessarily just a Saskatchewan thing. I think the Bombers have this guy figured out. And Richie Hall has this guy figured out. So he has to be efficient, and he has to be careful with the ball and not make mistakes if Montreal has any chance of winning at all.
Yeah, and for Collaros is 9-0 against Fajardo. I know QB win stats is not the greatest thing to look at, but that was quite interesting to me that he would be like that. And for Fajardo, that's basically it. He can't make mistakes in this game. He has to be turnover free. And Moss has to put him in a position to succeed and not overthink things. If you give Fajardo too much time, that's where he starts making mistakes. Or if you go for the longer throw or, throws to the sidelines, that's where he makes mistakes. So they're going to have to curtail that Bomber pass rush. I don't know if they do it better in a quicker in a passing game, or somehow get Stanback involved early and open some holes for him. But he's been under 50 yards both times, and he was terrible last week actually against Toronto as well. So Fajardo might have to use his legs a lot in this game.
The Bombers do give up a lot of balls in the flats, but they're willing to give those up. Just like actually Montreal is willing to give up a lot of balls in the flats because they're a quick defense, and you have to be super accurate to get those all the time and make a drive out of them. No, it's not going to happen. So, and
they're risky, man. Those are risky though too. Claros had a few risky ones last week that were close. It's like, geez,
yep.
That's a pick six if that's intercepted, right?
Yeah, Bombers got burnt a couple times this year on those.
Yep. And Ducoy is good at those.
Oh man, this is going to be a good game. Also with the Bombers, I know I keep hounding on the heavy set, but they also have to be able to run out of the shotgun against Montreal. Because if you can spread that defense, if they can't concentrate on having 8 in the box and they have to spread the linebackers out a little, I think that benefits the Bombers a lot, especially with RPO when they can start setting that up later in the game in the shotgun.
Yeah,
they have to.
It's going to be fun. Mm-hmm.
Predictions. You want to go first, or should I go first?
You go first.
Okay, I will go first. I got the Bombers on this one. Too much experience, too much talent, and too much regret from last year still bubbling up. Of course, any given Sunday, but in my predictions, not this Sunday, I got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers beating the Alouettes 33-13. I will let the Alouettes get an offensive touchdown. I think they will be able to find one later on in the game when they just trying to score something. But I think the Bombers will be just too much and hopefully finish drives in the red zone.
Yeah, Montreal's offense has scored 6 points against Bombers in 2 games, right? The defense scored 14 for Montreal in those 2 games. So yeah, I do think if somehow Montreal's offense can get hot and move the ball, they got a chance. But I'm going to pick the Bombers as well in this one. A little bit closer, a little bit lower scoring, but 13. I'm giving 13 to Montreal as well. But I'm going 23-13 for Winnipeg in this one. And taking that, like you said, they got the experience. They've been there before. They know what it feels like to lose this thing. And I don't think they'll let that, happen again this year. Obviously, like you say, anything can happen. But that's my prediction, 23-13 Winnipeg.
Bomber fans, put your scores and predictions down low. Alouettes fans, if you're listening also, let's hear what you have to say. CFL fans, always feel free to tune in. Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and wow, go Bombers go. And hopefully it's a great Grey Cup.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. Sunday's the day. Get some good rest. Have fun. Enjoy family and friends. Have a good Grey Cup. Everyone be safe. And in the words of LeVar Burton, we'll see you next time. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.